price of multicolor has now gone up on the pre-loved market because there's more people actively looking for it. You know, these things are not worth material-wise necessarily what they are. If Lisa from Blackpink started like taking photos of herself with this Christmas tree, then yeah, it could just sell out. Is the pre-loved market a scam? Is it a scam to pay more for a secondhand good? Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Jess. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. You can also join my membership below for access to exclusive videos and cool content. So yes, and it would help support my channel. Okay guys, so I wanted to respond to a comment I received the other day talking about the pre-loved market and the crazy things that can happen. I received a comment which actually got a lot of engagement, and it was actually disagreeing with me. I just wanted to discuss it with you guys. Let me just get to the comment, and thank you Lin Wen 10 for Lin Wen 10, that's a good name. Lin Wen 10, thank you Lin Wen 10 for your comment. It really made me think. They say, I think far too much of the pre-loved market is a scam, especially a lot of the pre-loved shops which seem to think they can charge ridiculous prices for what is essentially secondhand goods. And then I said, something is worth how much people are willing to pay for it, regardless of it being old or secondhand. Same thing applies to all collectibles, including coins, trading cards, designer fashion, sneakers, Labubu, etc. And then Seabreeze commented, even charity shops are overcharging because I have heard the workers say that they're basing it on Depop and eBay, which are so overpriced and there's so much greed. Which is true. I have noticed that in thrift stores lately, they're getting more expensive because I find that, you know, Google Lens, you can take a picture of anything and it will come up on Google and it will actually show you what things are worth. So for example, sometimes if I'm in the thrift store, I use this trick too. I love collecting vases, which is like a guilty pleasure, but I love like porcelains and glass art. So sometimes, like, you know, there's very cheap glass art, which is worth nothing, but then there's certain glass art that is more expensive. So sometimes I take a picture of it and it will come up in Google and I can see how much it is on Etsy, how much it is on eBay. And it's, yeah, op shops are starting to use that tool as well to price their things more. So I actually found, the other day, I found this gorgeous little, I don't know, it was like made in Denmark or something, some vase, but it was $60 at the op shop, which I was just like, really? $60, because it wasn't like it was like very, very valuable. So I hesitated to purchase it just because of how expensive it was. So yeah, I would say, yeah, op shops are starting to use that feature, but is that a bad thing? Because I guess op shops are a charity as well. So anyways, that's a whole different topic. And then they also said, Jessie Style, gotta disagree with you. People also make the mistake called greater fool theory on house prices. Valuation is not value. It can be higher or lower. Nominal price and value are completely different variables. So nominal price and value. So, okay, everything has a set value and price. So basically, yeah, I guess it's hard to really define that when it comes to a collectible though. You know what I mean, guys? Because like what something is worth isn't necessarily what it will sell for with a particular market. And I wanted to talk about today what makes certain designer bags more valuable than others. What are the factors that can make you can actually apply it to any collectible. What are factors that make things more expensive than others? It doesn't necessarily come down to just the brand name or the quality. It doesn't come down to the materials, and it doesn't even come down to whether it's new or secondhand. Something that can be pristine, new, can be worth a lot less than something that is vintage, depending on the significance of that object. I just wanted to discuss this topic today because I think, yeah, it's interesting because I think a lot of people are upset when they see that secondhand goods are priced higher than things in the store, but there's a reason for it. And I just wanted to discuss it today. And I think it's good that we have op shops and consignment stores that do list these things at like certain values, because not only does it retain the value in your collection if you want to sell it on in the future, but having a consignment store, having op shops is a sustainable way of purchasing things. You know, we already have a lot of stuff in this world, junk, you know, toys, we have, you know, glassware, we have handbags. There's so many that we've already have in the world. Why not purchase them secondhand, you know? It's just so wasteful to just throw things in the bin. And I think that it's good that there are people out there who do collect and save these little treasures. You know, I used to love collecting like stationery from Lisa Frank, and that is such like a niche, but I used to love trying to hunt that down, those like 90s stationery sets. And I know there are people out there who just love finding, you know, original Pokemon cards. That is really hard to find a pristine piece of cardboard, you guys. You know how much those pieces of cardboard can go for? Literally hundreds of thousands of dollars, some of them, which is insane. I went to a Pokemon exhibition the other day with Alex because I was so fascinated by how highly hyped Pokemon cards are. I just find it so interesting that people spend so much on a piece of cardboard, and I'm not coming from a judgmental point of view, but it just goes to show there is more to it than what you think when it comes to the value of something. And in fact, something, it doesn't matter how well something is made, it may not necessarily add to the value of the products. I'm blabbing. Oh, and also, it's so funny. The other day, I was on Instagram and someone posted, I'll link them below, a little handbook of Beanie Kids. And you guys remember, like, when we were all collecting Beanie Babies and TY, it was a little handbook and it had in it the value of the Beanie Kid from like 1998, and then the predicted value in 5 years, and then the predicted value in like another 10 years or something. And the numbers were just crazy. Like, how people value these items is just so random. And sometimes what we think is going to be valuable in the future may not actually be valuable at all. For all we know, designer handbags, although they are valuable now, may so very well, you know, become irrelevant in years. You know, it's possible they could become irrelevant and lose all value, just like Beanie Kids. So let me just start from the start, my first dot point, you guys. I'm just blabbing on now. So, is the pre-loved market a scam? Is it a scam to pay more for a secondhand good? Well, what makes a bag valuable? It can be due to the demand. So it's hard to get. We've seen this, guys, with Birkins and Kellys. We've seen it with the Chanel Caviar Mini. We've seen it with bloody Labubu. If something, okay, this is a pucky, but pretend it's Labubu. If something is hard to get, if you have to line up for it for hours, if you have to jump through hoops to get it, you best believe, doesn't matter if it's secondhand, it can fetch a higher amount than the new item from the boutique. And in fact, if there are resellers, it does actually add to the value of the product if you do have it. So if there are millions of people that want this toy, you can charge double the retail for it, because people don't want to line up in the line for 10 years to get it, or have to stalk the Instagram to see when it's launching or whatever. Same goes for handbags. So there are certain handbags that you can sell for above retail. What are they? Birkin Kelly fresh from boutique. We all know this. Perhaps the Constance sometimes, the Mini Kelly. Chanel bags, be lucky to get more than what you paid. Even secondhand, not really anymore, unless it's a vintage. You know, if you bought a vintage Chanel back in 1991, you could probably sell it for more than what you paid for it back in 1991, for sure, because the price back then was very cheap. Same with vintage Kellys. Back in the 90s, they were like $2,000. Now they're like, you know, you could pay over 10 grand for a vintage Kelly. So there's stuff like that. But yeah, and with those kinds of bags, like, I guess, you know, you could think perhaps in another 20 years they could be doubled in value again. Perhaps if it's the same trend, if it goes along the same trajectory. I mean, if you look at the graph of how Chanel price increases have made the Chanel flap go up in price, then yeah, you can see each year the value on the pre-loved market goes up and up and up. But we've actually noticed the last perhaps year or two, the pre-loved price of classic flaps has actually gone down. And why has it gone down? Because the demand is not as there as it used to be. The hype around Chanel is not as much as it was back in the lockdown. We can see that, and there's a slight dip now. And that's how the market can change. If the demand is not there, the price goes down. So, for example, okay, this Polochon bag, nobody cares about, or maybe you guys care about it a little bit, but I care about it because well, it's not a really sought after bag. So although it was, you know, several thousands of dollars more when it was sold in the boutique, I got it for under $2,000 Australian, because there's nobody really trying to find this bag and no one really cares about it. So that's when things can plummet in value, when there's no longer any interest in the bag. Okay, next point. Is the item famous? So if the item is not well known, if it's not famous, then it's not going to be valuable. So what is famous? So for example, okay, for some reason, I'm just going to use Louis Vuitton as an example. The P9 Speedy has been made famous by Louis Vuitton because Pharrell is a celebrity and he designed this bag, which created a lot of hype around the P9 Speedy. And now they've pushed it on the runway, they're releasing more colors, and there's, influencers wearing it, whatever, which has made it famous. Not only that, but the Speedy in itself is famous because it's one of Louis Vuitton's heritage pieces. Audrey Hepburn was seen wearing it at one point, and that's what made that bag famous. And that is why they can make the P9 Speedy 14,000 Australian dollars, is because it's famous, okay? Purely it's famous. It's just a leather bag, you guys. It's just a leather bag with a monogram. It's not hand stitched or anything, it's just a leather bag. But it's $15,000 because they use premium leather, there's that. But it's also because it's famous. Same with the Birkin. Birkin is not worth how much it costs in the store. $17,000 or something, $18,000 for a Birkin. But why do people pay it? And why do people pay over retail for this? High in demand, collectible, and it's famous. It's a famous bag. A lot of people know this bag. They know it's the Birkin. It's not a bag, it's a Birkin. And there's so much hype around this bag, like the Labubu, like perhaps Beanie Babies in the 90s, that make it the price that it is. So it's the demand for it. Whereas, as I said, this, no one's gonna be like, oh my gosh, like the pollution, like no one, it's not famous. It's not famous. So that's why it's not as valuable. If there is a market, if there's people collecting certain brands or a certain thing, like a theme, if there's if there's Facebook groups dedicated to this one brand or thing, then that will add value to your bag. Because if you can find someone to sell your bag to, and there's people actively looking for certain objects, like for example, if I'm a Pokemon card collector, and I'm actively looking for Pokemon cards, and people who are selling their Pokemon cards can find those Facebook groups and actively sell them to those people, then yeah, they can actually price them higher than if they're just listing them on an eBay where perhaps, I don't know, Pokemon collectors may not go as much. Like for example, so you have to know your market and you have to know how to price your objects depending on how much these collectors are willing to pay. Because if somebody is searching for something actively, then you can actually price it for higher. Like for example, at the moment, the Murakami collection from Louis Vuitton, a lot of people are actively looking for that. I actually have a few friends who have told me I need to get the multicolor now because they're launching it in January. And so it's harder now. The price of multicolor has now gone up on the pre-loved market because there's more people actively looking for it who are collectors of bags and perhaps Louis Vuitton. So if there's more people looking for it, that will boost the value up. And yeah, basically collectors who buy these things will make it more valuable for you to sell. And that brings me to trends. So certain objects come in and out of fashion, like the Labubu, okay, from Pop Mart. That is currently trending. We see it, or I see it all over Little Red Book, Instagram, even now YouTube. I see a lot of people talking about Labubu. So it's trending. It's a trend. It's not necessarily something that's going to last more than 2 years, I don't think. I got sucked into the trend, but now, yes, if you bought a Labubu, you might be able to resell it for more. There's a lot of fakes out there as well, but because of the trend, yes, it's more valuable. But once the trend dies, the Labubu value also will plummet. Same for bags. As I said, the Murakami collection is rumored to be launching in January, the multicolor. So that means that the pre-loved multicolor collections, the value is going to be boosted up compared to maybe 5 or 6 years ago when people weren't looking for it because it wasn't trendy anymore. In fact, it was the opposite of cool to collect multicolor a long time ago, like pre-2017. I remember because that's when I started buying multicolor. And the prices were so cheap, it was crazy, people were giving it away. And then, it kind of came back with the Y2K fashion trend that we saw the last few years. And then people selling Y2K bags on Depop and all that. It kind of was more of a Gen Z thing. I don't know, people getting into Y2K. So it came back, and then Louis Vuitton's a bit late to the party, but then they're like, oh, okay, let's re-collaborate with Murakami, and that's going to boost the value again. So yes, multicolor is going to be more valuable now on the pre-love market. But also, take note that you know, same with the Yayoi Kusama, right? The value went up, but then does anyone really care right now? Maybe the value's dropped down a little bit now, because I can tell you, after maybe 2 or so years of the Murakami being released, people are going to lose interest again. The value is going to go back down. So it's always like that with trends. Like, they're relevant, trending, and then, yeah, if you've bought a bag and you've bought it because of the trend and you think you're going to get over it, sell it when the trend is still there, because you're going to get the most money out of it. In fact, if it's in high demand, if it's hard to get, you can actually sell it for a profit, which is, you know, I'm not actively a reseller, you guys, but I'm just saying that's how it works. That's how the market works. I think it's good that there's a market like that to an extent, because as I said, if these brands keep producing stuff, it's got to end up somewhere. So, you know, consignment stores, thrift stores, wherever, it has to end up somewhere. It's better than it ending up in landfill, right? And it's good that people, it's good that we have these, like, things are worth things. Like, it's good that this, like, bolide is worth something, right? Because that's why some people collect Rolex and why some people are given jewelry, because it has an inherent value. So if times do get tough, they can always pawn it off, or they can sell it and they can get cash for it. It's good that these, although, you know, these things are not worth material-wise necessarily what they are, it's not just the material that makes it what it's worth. It's more to it than that, you guys. Obviously, the overall condition can add to the value. So if you find a Birkin in pristine condition, new, that's going to be more expensive than finding a Birkin that has a little bit of wear and tear, obviously. So that definitely pristine condition. Same with, like, I guess, trading cards. They're graded towards what condition they are. Same with, if you look at consignment stores, it'll be like 9 out of 10 condition, 7 out of 10 condition, depending, and they will price it according to the condition as well as what brand it is and how much desirability there is around that particular object. I just want to finish this topic with relevancy. If something becomes irrelevant, it also loses all value. So, for example, this Christmas tree ornament I found at the, okay, what is this? It is, okay, I don't know if this is actually anything valuable. First quality ceramic, Casa Domania Chantilly hand wash recommend. Okay, this is some porcelain candle holder. I got it at the op shop for maybe $1, okay? I bought it because it's pink. If this was Hermes, it would be worth a lot more. If this was, if this belonged to Michael Jackson, then yeah, it would be worth a lot more. If Lisa from Blackpink started, like, taking photos of herself with this Christmas tree, then yeah, it could just sell out. So anything can just become hyped because it's either blasted on people's social media and people want it because it's hard to get or desirable. But yeah, that's really all it comes down to. If there's a market for this ceramic Christmas tree, then I can sell it for more than $1 that I got it at the op shop. And that's, I guess, how people who also have eBay stores and you know, have Etsy shops that buy and sell secondhand, that's how they make money, because they know that there's a market for these things, and they know the value of certain objects. So I might be able to sell this for $2, you guys, even though I bought it for $1, because it's pink and it's cute, and I just know based on that someone will want to buy it. So you have to kind of be smart. Like, you have to understand what is desirable and what is not. And how do you come up with that knowledge? Well, you have to become an expert in your niche. You can't, like, for example, I would be very bad at reselling CDs and records, because that is not my niche. That is, like, my boyfriend Alex's niche. He would understand that completely. Like, the other day we were at the market and he found, oh, what was it? I think it was like Radiohead or something. He found some, I can't remember, but it was like some very rare record for like $90, and he's like, you know, this resells for $400 or some crap like that because it's the first edition pressing or something. I don't know what it was, guys, but he just knew that because of like that certain pressing and the color of the vinyl, it was worth a lot. And then some other guy came up to him in the market. He's like, oh my God, where'd you get that record? Because he was also like into vinyls. And he's just like, yeah, I found it over there. He's like, oh my God, man, like such a good find. Like, oh my God, because he understands that niche. So if you want to understand the value of certain objects, you have to become an expert in the niche that you're passionate about. I love handbags, so that's why I can understand why certain things are valued the way that they are. And it's just the way it is, you guys. So anyways, I wanted to talk about that today. I was really blabbing on a lot, but anyways, it was a really good topic. It made me think. But do you agree or disagree with the commenter as well, who says that they think you know, it's wrong that these pre-loved stores price things at a secondhand higher than like new bags? Because I think there's more to the story than one would first think, right? So anyways, just wanted to talk about that. So thanks for the inspiration, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!